As a team manager at a fast-paced tech company, Sarah was always putting out fires. Zoom fatigue, overlapping schedules, and team tensions were the norm. Her department handled product development for a global platform, and deadlines never seemed to end. Each day was a blur of meetings, Slack notifications, status updates, and late-night emails. By the end of most workdays, Sarah felt hollow. Meetings were long and unfocused, people talked over each other, and real communication often got buried under performance metrics and corporate jargon. She'd close her laptop with a sigh and wonder if this was what leadership was meant to feel like. Constantly reactive, constantly depleted. Then came the webinar. It was a Thursday lunch and learn hosted by the HR Wellness Initiative. Sarah almost didn't attend, but something in the title caught her eye: Leading with Stillness, Ancient Wisdom for Modern Teams. The guest speaker was a mindfulness practitioner who spoke about Ananda, the Buddha's cousin and attendant. What stood out wasn't just the spirituality, but the practicality. Ananda's strength, the speaker said, was not in commanding, but in listening so deeply that even silence became a form of service. That night, Sarah couldn't stop thinking about it. She remembered all the times during meetings when she was preparing her next response instead of listening. She remembered her team's body language, closed off, distracted, burnt out. And she remembered how she used to be, a young leader who genuinely loved collaboration. When had it all become so noisy? The next Monday, she took a risk. Before the weekly product meeting began, she said, "Let's try something different today. Before we start talking, let's take 3 minutes to just breathe. No need to close your eyes if you're not comfortable. Just breathe." There were awkward glances, a few chuckles, but no one objected. She set a timer. The silence felt strange at first, so foreign in a space usually dominated by updates and interruptions. But then, something shifted. Shoulders relaxed. Fingers stopped tapping. The collective pause was like a room exhaling. When the timer chimed, Sarah smiled. "Okay, let's begin." That meeting was the smoothest they'd had in months. No one talked over each other. People listened. Even disagreements were handled with more calm. Sarah noticed her own responses were clearer. She wasn't rushing. She was actually there. She made it a habit. 3 minutes at the beginning of every team meeting. She called it presence pause. Over time, something beautiful unfolded. Team members began looking forward to meetings. One engineer said, "I used to dread these. Now they feel like a mental reset." Another teammate added, "It's weird how something so simple changes everything." Conflicts lessened. Creativity improved. In one brainstorming session, ideas flowed so organically that they completed a roadmap 2 weeks early. Sarah shared the practice with other managers. Some were skeptical, but others tried it. Soon, the practice spread beyond her department. One day, HR invited Sarah to co-lead a workshop titled Mindful Meetings, the Ananda Principle in Corporate Life. She laughed at the title, but accepted. She began reading more about Ananda, his humility, his attentiveness, his role in preserving the Buddha's teachings not by force, but by presence. She felt an affinity with that leadership style. It wasn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It was about holding space for others to think, feel, and grow. Sarah started applying mindfulness outside meetings, too. During one-on-ones, she'd turn off her screen, close her laptop, and give the other person her full attention. The quality of those conversations deepened. One junior designer told her, "I feel like you actually see me." That's rare. It wasn't always easy. Some meetings were too tense to begin with silence. Some team members resisted, but Sarah stayed patient. She modeled what she hoped to inspire. She even brought the practice home. Dinners with her partner became device-free. Mornings began with breath work instead of email. She found herself happier, more connected, more human. Months later, the company saw a spike in employee engagement. Internal surveys showed a rise in psychological safety, especially in Sarah's team. Her CEO took her aside after a quarterly review. "Whatever you're doing," he said, "keep doing it. Your team is thriving." Sarah smiled. "We just started listening again." In the age of endless meetings and endless noise, Ananda's quiet strength had found its way into a corporate boardroom and changed everything. But the ripple effects didn't stop there. The mindfulness practice that began in one team expanded into a company-wide initiative called Moments of Meaning. Sarah was invited to co-develop a program with HR, helping other leaders implement silent reflection time at the start of meetings, workshops, and even performance reviews. They also created a library of resources, short breathing meditations, journaling prompts, even a virtual quiet room where employees could log in and enjoy a 5-minute pause anytime during the workday. Sarah mentored several team leads who were curious but hesitant. One of them, Joel, was managing a sales team and worried that mindfulness would be perceived as fluffy or unproductive. But after trying Presence Pause for a month, Joel emailed her. "Not only has the mood changed, our numbers went up. I think people just needed permission to breathe." Sarah also noticed deeper changes in herself. Her anxiety, which she had managed privately for years, began to loosen its grip. She didn't wake up with dread as often. She laughed more. She remembered what it felt like to enjoy her job, not just endure it. Outside of work, she volunteered to teach mindfulness in a local high school once a week. It was challenging, restless teenagers, skeptical teachers, but also deeply rewarding. One student told her, "I didn't know adults felt overwhelmed too." That stayed with her. Eventually, Sarah was invited to speak at a global leadership summit. Her talk was titled "Stillness as Strategy." Standing in front of hundreds of leaders, she shared the story of how 3 minutes of silence transformed not only her meetings, but her life. She ended the talk the same way she began every meeting. With 3 minutes of silence, as the room sat still, Sarah glanced around and saw something extraordinary. Not blank faces, not impatience, but softening. People were breathing, listening, and in that shared stillness, Ananda's ancient presence seemed to echo through time, offering a simple, powerful truth. The most radical act of leadership in a noisy world is to be fully present. Viewers are encouraged to approach with clarity and mindfulness. If you found peace in this message, please like, subscribe to Alex Zander T, and share this wisdom to spread positive energy.